Welcome to The Buck Stops Here, the official podcast of NotInHallOfFame.com, and I'm your host, The Buck, Kirk Buchner, the owner or the operator of NotInHallOfFame.com and its sister sites, the Fictitious Athlete Hall of Fame and the Fictitious Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Well, we hope everyone's staying safe and in everyone's quarantine or self-exile, however you want to put that. At least we've got the National Football League and a lot of free agency and trades to sort of keep us occupied. Vinny Lospinuso, our resident expert, the wunderkind of sorts when it comes to all things pro football, gave me a shout and said he wanted to just talk about everything that sort of transpired. And of course I said yes. So without further ado, let's bring in Vinny, who has got quite a few comments as to what has sort of transpired in this wacky week of the National Football League and the quarterback carousel, that is. Vinny, the apocalypse has happened, and I'm not talking about the coronavirus. Tom Brady is not a Patriot.
Oh, this feels so jarring for me, man. I mean, my entire life, I grew up seeing this guy wearing the navy, the silver, and the red. Yeah, red, white, but come on, it's more silver and navy than it is white and blue. And, winning 6 Super Bowls, going through 3 others, all those division titles and playoff appearances, and winning records, and MVPs, All-Pros, Pro Bowls, yada, yada, yada. He's now not a New England Patriot. Now, that part...
You're not kidding when you say all your life.
Yeah, it's so jarring. Like, that was the news that consumed me and most people. Like, yeah, you could talk about, why not the primaries? Well, come on, Biden won all of those. What was the real surprise was seeing him not with the Patriots. But that wasn't even the biggest surprise. Many people thought that he'd be going to, like, the Raiders or the Titans, but that didn't happen. Instead, what happened was that the Raiders got Marcus Mariota as a backup, and the Titans re-signed Ryan Tannehill. And then we also thought he would go to the Chargers.
Right.
It seemed like that was the case with what they did in free agency. We'll talk about that in a bit. But because his family is on the East Coast, he says, okay, I'll be an East Coast guy. But then he signed, even though it's not official, he's going to be signing a multi-year deal, which each year worth $30 million to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I know. It's as a Saints fan, this is pretty jarring. I've got him now twice a year. I was trying to think, right before we spoke, what this is most similar to. And I came up with 2, and they're not even close. Just in my lifetime. The first was when Montana became a Kansas City Chief. The second, when Brett Favre became a New York Jet. But both of those cases, you knew they were going to go somewhere else because they had incumbents waiting in Steve Young and Aaron Rodgers, respectively. And when we talk about all those 4 players, 3 of them are Hall of Famers, and the 4th one will be also in Rodgers. This one, New England has nobody right now. This was very unexpected, even though the whispers were saying, it could happen, it could happen. You just can't visualize it. It's like when Julia Roberts, this again, sort of before your time, when she was considered the hottest woman on the planet right after her Pretty Woman days, and then she married Lyle Lovett. It's like, what? What the hell is this? And it's the same thing, seeing or envisioning the first time Brady puts on that pewter helmet, it just won't work.
It's not going to work because, the Buccaneers are getting new uniforms, so you're not going to be seeing the alarm clock numbers anymore, thank God. But still, just seeing him ditch the Navy for pewter is going to be very, very jarring for, I think, basically everyone. Even his own teammates are going to feel very, very offset by it. Like, what the hell? Tom Brady's on our team? Like, are you serious, right? Like, it just doesn't seem real. It feels very, very Twilight Zone-ish, which makes sense considering that's kind of the age we're living in right now with the coronavirus. But, man, he's going to the NFC. And not only that, the NFC South, a division where you have 2 other Hall of Famers, and Drew Brees and Matt Ryan in that same division.
Yep.
And, man, that team, they have some weapons. They've re-signed a few guys, and they have no state tax. They have a lot of cap space. And now I'm guessing a lot of players need to want to go there. They should want to go there.
And, Antonio Brown,
Tom Brady, quarterback.
He kept in contact with Antonio Brown. If anyone can sort of maybe resurrect that individual, because I did that, as you know, that list of those going into the preseason with their current Hall of Fame ranking, and you had a bit of input on that, and I thank you for it. Antonio Brown was in that top 10, and nobody had a worse year than Antonio Brown did. If anyone can sort of have a comeback through the mentorship of a quarterback, it's this guy, if Tampa wants to take that shot.
The question I have with Antonio Brown is that you already have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans on that team. You also have Cameron Brate and, O.J. Howard. So the question I have is, you have Godwin and Evans who are coming off of Pro Bowl, all-pro years. You have Antonio Brown, who statistically is the best wide receiver of the 2010 decade, if you don't count his final year. His last year, latest year in the league. So everyone's going to want the ball. Every one of those players is going to want the ball. And Brady's one quarterback. So how's this going to work? Will he, in fact, get signed by the Buccaneers? So that, I'd say, let's wait for a bit, because if Brady would have gone to the Chargers, I would have said, oh yeah, I can definitely see Antonio Brown there. But with the Buccaneers, when you're in a situation with a few other weapons, a few other wide receivers, a few other all-pros, it makes me a little bit more hesitant to think about having Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
I think it would be pretty cool, but I think
there's always the one cure, though, Vinny, and that's buying in, thinking that you've got the chance to win it all.
You have a good point right there. Though I do ask for the Buccaneers, they do need to improve that offensive line, which I can see them getting in the first round this year, or even free agency. They have a lot of cap space. And come on, again, you're in Florida. You have no state tax. You have the Super Bowl this year in Tampa. I mean, you have Bruce Arians as your head coach. I got to say, I'm excited for this Buccaneers team. And yeah, I understand that Brady didn't have that great of a season, but you definitely know with Tom Brady, unlike Jameis Winston, he's going to be a lot more careful with the ball. He's going to be a lot more precise in the decision making, and that he's not going to throw the ball all over the place,
right?
Regardless of the color of the jersey.
And you brought up a good point there too, because Winston, if someone just looks at his stats, you're thinking, oh, why is somebody jettisoning a 5,000 yard passer? There's reasons why they're doing it, because he was mistake prone. And it always seemed when you're watching a Buccaneers game, he was the guy who would take you out of it, and then sort of and he would get, how much of those yards were garbage? I don't know the exact percentage. I'm sure some great website tape looks at that, but it's got to be huge.
Statistically, this is both his best season ever and his worst season ever.
Right.
Because this is literally one of the greatest worst seasons. He is literally the Trolls 2 or The Room of quarterback seasons. It's the best, worst. It's so bad, but it's also so good at the exact same time, and it's still very enjoyable. Now, as for Jameis Winston's future career, I have no idea what's going to happen, because I thought the Chargers would be a good place for him. They're saying they don't want anyone, so they're going to stick with Tyrod Taylor. They're probably going to take Justin Herbert. I personally, I think Winston's either going to be a backup somewhere, which I think he is a starting caliber quarterback.
Absolutely.
But I think it would be pretty cool if him and Brady switch spots. Let's see Jameis with the Patriots after Tom went to the Buccaneers.
And the Buccaneers are playing the Patriots this year, coronavirus willing. But yeah.
No, the Buccaneers are not playing the Patriots this year.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Oh, then what the hell was I reading? I could have sworn that's what I read.
Playing against the AFC West, not the AFC East.
Oh, well, then what do I know?
Yeah, but Jameis is still unsigned at this current moment. Where do you think he's going to go?
Patriot seems like a pretty good spot. How's Stafford getting along with his situation?
Stafford so far, it's going decently well. Stafford's not leaving, and the Lions just brought in more Patriots guys and Danny Shelton, and they also traded for Jordan Harmon. So they really want to make that the Detroit Patriots or the Motor City Patriots. I mean, same thing's going on in Miami. They just signed, Ted Karras and Kyle Van Noy. Makes sense. Matt Patricia and Brian Flores. But I have no idea what's going to happen with. I think Stafford's staying put. He's not leaving.
Where else? Like, what's another other possible landing spot? You think?
I think Andy Dalton. I'm shocked that he wasn't traded yet. He's not going to the Bears now. We'll talk about it in a bit. But I could see the Patriots for Dalton.
That I'd see more likely, actually, than
Same
Winston.
here. I think Dalton's more likely for the Patriots than Winston is.
Yeah,
but I see Dalton as more of a bridge guy. But what other options have you thought of?
Well, I really haven't. I'm still almost in shock with this.
I mean, they say that they're for Jarrett Stidham, but really see them only sticking with Jarrett Stidham and no one else?
No, I don't. No, God, no. No, well, now that opens up their whole draft, too. I mean, they should have been looking quarterback anyway at some point.
You know they're prepared.
How old is Belichick now? How much longer is he going to be doing this?
Well, Belichick's younger than Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's going to keep coaching.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. But you never know. There's so many different places he could go. It's not going to be Minnesota. They're going all in with Cousins, Tennessee, all in on Tannehill.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
That's true.
Winston's got to be thinking, what the hell? I mean, like him and Cam Newton have to be like calling each other like, we were supposed to be running this division right now for another decade.
Instead, Breeze and Ryan are still there, and instead you get two TVs. You have both Teddy Bridgewater, who's now signed a 3-year, $60 million deal with the Carolina Panthers. So I don't see them getting a quarterback in the draft. And you have the other TV going to TV, Tampa Bay.
Do you think that the Panthers know something that a lot of us don't? Or are the Panthers just badly run?
Well, considering the way that considering how Greg Olsen was let go,
right?
Considering the fact that they said that we mutually agreed with Cam that he'll seek a trade, and Newton said, "No, you never did that."
Yeah,
so
exactly.
No, I think there are issues with the Carolina Panthers. I really do.
I agree with you. I just don't like the way they're treating Cam Newton. I don't like the way the fans have just turned their back on him so quick. Like, he's the guy who got you to a Super Bowl and was pretty damn close. Yeah, he had a bit of a meltdown at the post-game press conference. I think he's entitled.
Yeah, and like now, Grant, you're also seeing some other people that saying, "Oh, see, this is racism because the racist officials never called against any of the players against Newton. They have a deep-seated hatred for Newton. It's racism," because you're seeing some people say that because, of course, you are. I don't know if it's racism, but I feel like those same people are going to ask for Newton's chance for the Hall of Fame. But unless he gets a little bit better and gets another Pro Bowl season, I can. But right now, I think you're going to have those people that think he's been. I think later on you're going to get those people that say that, oh, he was wronged by the media or whatever. Same thing with Tony Romo, but probably even more extreme because they're going to race into it.
Well, Tony Romo, the people, like, how hard is it to being a Dallas Cowboys quarterback? It's right up there with being a Toronto Maple Leaf. The media is on you nonstop. Cam Newton just seemed to get the rough end of the deal. I've been to a couple Panthers games in Carolina. No disrespect, Carolina fans. You're not exactly the most dedicated. You're kind of fickle. So I don't know. How about Newton going to New England?
I could see that. They could say that. I've heard people say, "Oh, Kaepernick's going to the Patriots."
Kaepernick's going nowhere. Kaepernick is done, and that's it.
Basically, I'm just saying, shut up, Robert Lapal. He's not going to the Patriots. Just stop pretending that fantasy. He's not going to the Patriots. Okay?
No, there's we'll address this once and for all. Colin Kaepernick, his NFL career is over. I'm upset that it happened. It shouldn't have. He should have had an opportunity after what sort of occurred. At this point, I don't believe that he actually wants to play. He's far happier. Yeah, he's far happier being a martyr. And that's it. That's all. End of story.
Yeah.
Loved his message. Not so fond of the messenger.
Oh yeah, and like even for the message itself, it kind of turned into an us versus them sort of situation, where it was if you dare. And Eric Reed, who by the way was cut.
I saw that. Yeah.
I don't know why, but I was kind of laughing. Believe it or not, I was laughing. And I have nothing against Eric Reed, but at the same time, it's like he always, whenever anyone dares like questions the decisions of Reed or Kaepernick, Reed just latches on them, calls them not a real black person, calls them a coon, calls them fickle, calls them a white person. Like, dude, you have issues. And maybe you don't, but you could at least frame it a little bit better.
Yeah, we're going on a tangent that we probably don't mean to. There's another big quarterback shift. This person I'm personally cheering for a lot. I don't know why I am, but I really am, and I know you wanted to touch on this. Phillip Rivers is now an Indianapolis Colt.
I'm so happy for Phillip Rivers. Eli Manning retired. Ben Roethlisberger's staying, but how much longer? And Phillip Rivers is changing teams. He's basically doing the reverse Johnny Unitas. Instead of going from the Colts to the Chargers, Rivers is going from the Chargers to the Colts. Except this time, instead of Baltimore to San Diego, it's Los Angeles to Indianapolis.
How do you think he'll do?
I think he's going to do very, very well there. I mean, you look at the Colts, you have arguably the best offensive line in the league. You have a building defense, a young defense, decent special teams. Lance Vinatieri needs to get a little bit better. And as for the West, they have Jack Doyle, they have T.Y. Hilton. They're going to probably get some more offensive help. I have a lot of confidence in the Colts organization and the Colts team. And he has familiarity with Frank Reich and the other members of the coaching staff. I think he's going to flourish there. It just makes so much sense. I'm with you, Phil.
Yeah, and I think you've got a personal thing that you've a little message to Mr. Jim Trotter.
Yes, Jim Trotter. I respect you a lot as an individual. I think you're a very, very humble man that is a little bit more transparent. However, I have the same issue with you here as I did when you said that you were butthurt that Flores and Coryell didn't make it. Okay. You had a chance, Jim, to get both Flores and Coryell in several times, and you didn't do it. So stop pretending you care so much about them when you clearly didn't care about them enough to put them in. And yes, I know there's multiple voters, but a lot of people like to see the entire voting process as one person. And therefore, fair or not, you are included in that. Not only that, now you're saying, I don't know about Phillip Rivers because of the postseason. If Phillip Rivers doesn't make it sooner, we know who to turn to if he's not in. We're going to turn to you. We're going to turn to you, and we're going to slam you for it. We're going to slam you for it, and we're going to slam it for you hard. Not only that, if you're talking about the postseason performance, I'm pretty sure Bengals fans probably hate your guts too for Ken Anderson not being in, or other quarterbacks that might not have done as well, quote unquote, as well in the playoffs. Okay, if you're talking about playoffs, this guy had a torn ACL, and yet he played an entire game regardless because the guy was tough. And it's not his fault if the defense isn't that good. I mean, people are still questioning why the quarterback win is even a stat for the quarterback and not for the coach. I mean, it is for the coach, but why is it for the quarterback? It just seems very, very hypocritical. And, this stuff is why a lot of people have had a growing animosity with a lot of voters, because when they speak their mind, it's usually hypocritical. And if they don't, don't worry, Jim, again, I have nothing but respect for you, but keep in mind you open yourself up to a big amount of people that are going to slam you if Rivers does not make it sooner. And I would not be shocked if some people in Rivers base has a grudge against you because of you saying that.
You know what I was just thinking might be an interesting wager? I know we don't usually do that. I might save this one for Mr. Evan Nolan when I talk to him later. But who do you think has a better year, Rivers or Brady?
That's actually a good question. Well, you look at the NFC. The NFC is a much tougher conference than the AFC. And, I know that people want to say that, Rivers had a down year. Brady also had a pretty down year, too. And you could say that Brady looks more old than Rivers did.
Yeah, very much so. And Rivers is going to be playing in a far weaker division.
He's going to play a far weaker division with, you have the Titans, and you have the Texans, but we'll talk about the Texans.
Yes, we are.
And you have the Jaguars in that division. Again, what more do I have to say about that? They're the Jacksonville Jaguars. And you look at the NFC South, I mean, the Falcons are a little bit weaker, but you still have Matt Ryan. The Panthers, they lost several players, so I think that might be okay. I get where that's coming from. But you look at the New Orleans Saints, one of the true marquee elite teams in the entire league.
That they are. Thank you for saying so.
Well, yeah, they won 13-3, and they were the 3 seed because of how tough that conference was. I mean, I think that's a pretty good case to say that the Saints are one of the best teams in the NFL. There's no one in the AFC South that is close to that.
You know what? So I'm going to go on record then. I'm saying Rivers has the better year.
I think he will too.
Yeah.
Even though that there's more weapons, hypothetically, in Tampa than Indianapolis, the Colts could also get a player or two in the draft. They also did trade for DeForest Buchner for a first-round pick. That's a very good move. And as for the Buccaneers, I mean, they re-signed a few guys, but all they did was just bring in Brady. Really it. I mean, that's right now. This could change for the future, but right now, all they did was bring in Brady. And there's people that want to play for the Buccaneers, but let's see what happens. They got to sign the contracts.
Well, yeah, exactly. So you touched on something, and I'm glad you did, because this probably while Tom Brady being a Buccaneer is the biggest shock, the biggest head scratcher to me, or the biggest my show, I can say this, my biggest what the fuck was DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson, and the what the fuck I'm looking at Houston. What the hell are you doing?
I'm just baffled by this. I mean, want me to tell you who was traded for a first-round pick as a wide receiver? Roy Williams, Joey Galloway, Percy Harvin, and there's a few other guys. Brandon Cooks was traded for a first-rounder twice. He might even get traded for a first-rounder again, for all we know. And Randy Moss and Odell Beckham Jr. DeAndre Hopkins, one of the marquee, one of the truly best players, not just a wide receiver, just in the NFL period. All he was traded for, was a second-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and an aging, injury-prone running back with a bad contract.
Yeah, we're not talking 2017 David Johnson. They traded for 2020 David Johnson. Like, what? I don't understand it. There's no scenario I can think of where Houston wins this trade unless Hopkins falls off the earth.
He's not going to fall off the earth. He has Kyler Murray as his quarterback.
Oh, Kyler Murray's had an erection since this trade's happened. It still hasn't gone soft. How happy is he?
Lasting more than 4 hours, it's going to last you at least the full season.
I mean, it's built-in Viagra. Like, it's incredible. I can't believe what they're thinking, what they're doing. I don't even know. I mean, that's also why Phillip Rivers is so happy to go to that division too.
Not only that. You know, the Cardinals have the eighth pick overall in this draft, and because the Texans decided to trade away their first-round picks for this year and next year for Laramie Tunsil and Kenny Stills, they don't have a first-round pick until 2022. So you would think trading away one of the best players in the league would get you a first-round pick in compensation. But nope, only a second, a fourth, and an age and a basically almost washed up running back.
Even the fact that the Cardinals even got another pick because they got a 4th rounder too.
Yep.
What the hell?
I mean, man, can you imagine? And this is what I thought was also disgusting. Bill O'Brien, who runs the show there, they don't have an official GM because Bill O'Brien calling the shots, and you know how great he is as the general manager. He called him in, and then he said the last time I had someone call in personally was Aaron Hernandez. He was mentioning about, his baby mamas. I was disgusted by that. I was really disgusted by that because, and you also saw some former Texans call out Bill O'Brien, saying he was a bad leader. He doesn't understand players, and you gotta feel for Deshaun Watson. His line is better, but it's still not great. You lost your best weapon, your best friend, and yeah, you have Will Fuller, but he's good, but he's always hurt. You have Kenny Stills, who's number 3 guy, and yeah, you got Randall Cobb coming in.
But it's not DeAndre Hopkins.
It's none of them are DeAndre Hopkins, and now you're going to pay Deshaun Watson a whole bunch of money.
And you're still paying. No, you're paying David Johnson's contract.
The Texans already had Lamar Miller on that. Lamar Miller's on that team. I don't know if he's still on that team or if he's a free agent now. Yeah, he's still on the roster. Lamar Miller is on the roster still. Well, actually, I take that back. No, it's not. He's a free agent now. So to replace Lamar Miller, whose season ended and potentially even his career ended after his ACL was torn, you're now bringing in a guy, David Johnson, who has a whole host of injury concerns stemming back for the last several years. Hell, he was replaced by Kenyon Drake on the line. Kenyon Drake's now the starting running back because he had a monster year once he got the Cardinals.
So last year he had 715 yards from scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
It's not great. It's still productive in its own capacity, but that's not something you trade one of the top 3 wide receivers for. There's no logic to this. Not one stitch of logic. He's not. How much better is he going to get at 29? Running backs are. He's not Frank Gore. He's not gonna continue to just chug along.
But then again, Frank Gore is he's never hurt. He is always healthy for the most part. With David Johnson, he is essentially a box that says fragile on it. And Frank Gore, I really hope Frank Gore gets signed because I love the man so much.
He will.
And I think he will. But I'd much rather him get signed Frank Gore as a free agent than trade for David Johnson.
Absolutely.
What are you getting out of David Johnson?
I totally agree with that. I 100% agree with I would rather have Frank Gore as my backup running back. I don't want him as my feature back. But I don't want David Johnson as either. I don't want him as my feature or my backup right now.
David Johnson I'd have as my 3rd at most.
Yeah, I agree. At my 3rd, and then hope that he's still got a little bit left in the tank and can sort of explode for a couple games here or there. And that's all he's got left.
You have guys. Running back. There's a reason as to why running back is not as valued as much as they used to. Running backs are valuable, but at the same time, we're finding out that you can really find a running back anywhere and be productive if you have the right scheme. That's why the Texans last year also traded for Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson, because the Texans still think that the running back is the most valuable offensive skill position. It's not the 70s anymore. It's not the 60s. It's not the 50s anymore, guys. It's the 2020s. And in the 2020s, besides the quarterback, who's the more flashy star skill player? It's the wide receiver. And you dealt him for an aging, injury-prone running back.
Yeah, and it's not that he's that old. He's, 28? But still, injury-prone is very much accurate. And he's had, let's just call it what it is, one outstanding season and nothing else. You know, you're not going to see an Adrian Peterson renaissance out of this guy because he wasn't Adrian Peterson.
Because Adrian Peterson also had a 2,000-yard season. Adrian Peterson also won an MVP. Adrian Peterson is probably going to be a first-team All-Decade member.
Mm-hmm.
That guy is going to make it like that when he's eligible.
Absolutely.
For the Hall of Fame. David Johnson never even sniffing cans. He's not getting close. He's not a Hall of Fame guy at all.
No,
DeAndre Hopkins is a Hall of Fame guy.
Well, he's also got such a common name that in 50 years from now, he's probably not even the best David Johnson to ever play football. Actually, my closest friend back in Canada is named David Johnson.
It's a good case. I mean, he might be more memorable there. It really depends.
There's another trade I really want your take on. Because this is, I guess, if I have a number 2 team, I mean, just only because I've been to so many of their home games, I think you already know where I'm going with this. Stephon Diggs going to Buffalo.
Now, Houston, Houston, you should take some cues from Buffalo because they actually know how to trade. Because I like Stephon Diggs. He's not DeAndre Hopkins.
No,
he's not DeAndre Hopkins. But at the same time, I would have expected a first-round pick out of Stephon Diggs because he on a team, he could be the number 1 wide receiver. And I see number 1 wide receiver potential in him.
Yes.
And I think what they did, the Buffalo Bills, I mean, yeah, you have Cole Beasley and John Brown, but you need a little bit more than that for Josh Allen. And I think what the Buffalo Bills did, hey, yeah, you're giving up a first-round pick and a couple of day 3 picks. But in the case of the Buffalo Bills, Brady's gone. Brady's gone.
Exactly.
You have a chance. You have a chance to win that division. You have a chance to take that next step. And hell, even with the 7th playoff team added in both conferences now, you have an even easier chance. You have an easier chance to take this opportunity and run with it. I mean, yeah, you're only giving a 1st, a 5th, and a 6th, and a 4th next year. I mean. Now that deal, that is a deal I like far more because, hey, the Bills' pick was very close to the Vikings anyway. The Bills' pick was 22. The Vikings' pick was 25. So what the Vikings can do is potentially take those 2 picks and maybe trade up or even trade back with a few of those. It really depends on how they go about it. But, you would think, again, going back to the Texans, they have the 26th pick. Meanwhile, the Cardinals have the 8th pick, and they don't have the Texans don't have a pick for the next 2 years, and you would think potentially if you trade away DeAndre Hopkins, you take a wide receiver in that spot where the Cardinals would be, but no. I like this pick from the Bills. I really do.
Yeah,
and as for the Vikings,
they did okay.
I like this too.
Yeah, I mean they did okay. Diggs was clearly unhappy, so a change of scenery I think will do him very, very well. If this is where he can sort of prove that he's the wide receiver he's telling people he is, and he can be.
Yeah,
he can be. He really could. So Allen now has the best weapon of his career. Mm-hmm. And it'll be really interesting to see. And like you said, this happened before Brady? This happened before Brady said he was gone, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So right now, the AFC East is sort of ripe for the picking, and let's not count New England out. They could still win the division. I don't see it, but it could happen.
I think they'll still be a playoff team, though.
Well, with that 7th team, oh shit, tangent right now. I can't believe the players signed that CBA.
I'm a little surprised by that too because it was by a very, very narrow margin. And I'm fine with the 7th team, but I'm a little bit more skeptical about the 17th game.
I know. I couldn't believe it.
Who's going to play that 17th game? Like who in particular? What team are going to have for each team? Is going to rotate? How's it going to work?
It's one of those things where let's remember that moment. Anytime that where other sports or just other fans or any athlete just wonders why the hell the football union is the weakest, right there is why. Because that's clearly something that's benefiting the owners far more than the players.
Oh yeah, it is.
I don't even know how you get A, more people to vote for it, and B, about 500 people not to vote at all.
Yeah, a lot of people are throwing a lot of stuff at the players right now, and some of it's deserving. But I also know that a lot of players vote against their own interests.
What is it? What's their rationale? They think they're getting more. I'm sure they are getting. They should get more money from it down the road, but I don't understand. This would never happen in any other sport or team sport.
Yeah,
not even the WNBA.
That's why people really, really, really hate the football union. That's why they hate DeMaurice Smith. That's why, and a lot of these journalists, like Mike Fleury, he's acting like a tough guy. Oh, see, Richard Sherman? See how tough do you think you are now? It's just very, very nasty, honestly. And no offense to Mike Fleury, but that's the reason why a lot of people openly don't like you.
No, this is. I was perfectly fine the way it was. I liked 6 teams playoff. I liked 60. Like these nice even numbers.
I mean, it's very weird with 7 teams. I mean, I think eventually in 2030 you might see 8 teams potentially.
Probably. You
could say, why so soon? But didn't it take them 30 years for them to add a 7th team? Yes, but at the same time, I mean, as much as people want to say that, we're against the playoff teams, reality is they should actually want it because that gives their team a better chance to win it all.
No, I don't like it. I don't like any of it. This is one of the sports, the team sports, where I just liked it almost perfectly. Actually, I shouldn't say that one of them, because hockey I like a lot now with 16 teams out of 32. When I was a kid, it was still the same format. Well, not really. It was by division.
But 16 teams back then, 20 something?
21. So you'd watch the whole regular season, and only one team's eliminated in each division. It was so stupid. We're at least dumb. Now. I mean, the regular season has purpose. Yeah, when I was a kid, it was pointless.
I mean, I'd be fine with if it was half the league, just half the league, but maybe don't go any further than just half the league, because if you have around half the league, that's okay. But if you go 10 teams in each conference, no.
No. Well, okay, no. But that's neither here nor there. So we both agree that this is a good pick for both sides. I don't know what it is about brash, cocky wide receivers. I love them, and I want to see Diggs prove himself. And again, it's not that he hasn't. He has. He already has. I just want to see that. I want to see the city of Buffalo have something to cheer for. I've been to Buffalo many times. Buffalo, sorry, the city's. It's a hard luck case dump of a city, and those people who are staying there, you don't have much else other than the Bills and the Sabres. And the Bills.
And why would you cheer for the Sabres at this point?
Well, oh my God. And that such wasted potential around Jack Eichel, but that's another show.
Yeah, and also going on with fan bases in particular, I've noticed there is not one fan base that I've seen just more pissed off at from free agency than the Chicago Bears.
That's right. Yeah, we said we were going to talk about the Bears and we even talked about that, you and I, on Twitter. And I said, sorry, Chicago, Nick Foles isn't your answer. And you responded, well, whoever is. My response, 1986 Jim McMahon.
Yeah, but at the same time, when it comes to Bears fans, they're not going to be satisfied until these 2 guys are their quarterbacks, Sid Luckman and Jim McMahon. That is it. Because the Bears are not known for great quarterback play. They never have been. Outside of Luckman, who is the only Hall of Famer, unless you count George Blanda, the only quarterback that was a Hall of Famer. Because as much as you want to talk about Jim McMahon.
No, he's not even close to a Hall of Famer. McMahon himself would tell you that. And I lived through that era, man. Jim McMahon was the rock star, but he was the player who did enough. to get.
What is he like a homeless version of like Terry Bradshaw? But Bradshaw was good. Bradshaw was freaking great.
Yeah, that's not even. I wouldn't call him the homeless version of Bradshaw. Just McMahon he was a rebel. He was the blue collar rebel. He did things the way he wanted to do it, and he did enough. He did enough. His fame at the time was far exceeded his ability. But then that entire mid-'80s Bears were like that. I mean, the two most popular players on that team for that time, it wasn't Walter Payton. For a while, it was Jim McMahon and the Refrigerator.
It wasn't Dan Hampton. It wasn't Mike Singletary. It wasn't Jimbo Cupboard.
No.
It was...
Like now, granted, I'm seeing this from the lens of a 13-year-old because that's how old I was when they won the Super Bowl. But those were the perceived stars. When you looked in the crowd, people were Peyton was right there too. But people were wearing Perry jerseys. They were wearing McMahon jerseys. Kids were getting their hair cut like Jim McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this guy was a megastar for 1 year. Same like Perry. I know you're not a wrestling guy, but if you ever watch WrestleMania 2. That was they had a 20-man battle royal, and it was in Chicago.
Ooh.
Two of the participants, because they had 6 football players in that.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them were Bears: Jimbo Covert and William the Refrigerator Perry.
Well, no, Perry's not making the Hall of Fame. Don't.
Didn't say he was.
Don't get.
I'm just saying, but he actually is in the WWE Hall of Fame. That's true.
Yeah, that is true. At least in one of the Hall of Fames.
Yes.
And, Cover could be in the football one, and Cover could be in the football one, and Perry could be in the rest.
Sure.
See, everyone's happy.
But I'm just saying the reaction that Perry got in that moment encapsulates everything about what the Bears were. That was only 3 months removed from when the Bears won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So just one of those things about how big that team was in pop culture, in just everything.
It still is.
It still
Bears
is.
fans won't shut up about it.
Well, yeah, and I maintain also to this day that the Super Bowl Shuffle is the reason that we have almost all these athletes who think they can rap. Most of you, I say this to almost all of you, no, you can't.
Oh, I've seen it. Oh, you've seen Antonio Brown's CD too? No More White Women 2020?
No. I haven't.
That's good. Your mind and your body and your soul is still clean.
Oh, you want to see some crap? Go find Chris Webber. Go find Chris Webber's rap album.
Oh, maybe that's why he's not in the Hall of Fame. Maybe that's the reason why.
There's one thing I've been talking about doing for the site for years, and I haven't got around to it. I mean, other sites have done this, but I want to try and do something much, much bigger. The 100 worst albums done by athletes. And there's so many. Terry Bradshaw put out some country music, too.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I know about that.
Yes. There's some awful. Tony Parker in a French rap album.
Also, going back with the Bears.
Yeah, let's go back to... I tangent, sorry.
Don't worry. Going back with the Bears, I actually don't mind the trade, believe it or not. I don't like it, but at the same time, I don't mind it because knowing Bears fans, let's be real, they would have gotten mad if it was Derek Carr. They would have gotten mad if it was Andy Dalton. I think the only one that would have been happy about it if they got would have been Cam Newton. But Cam Newton has been very injury-prone the last several years. And yes, so has Nick Foles, but not even close to the level that Cam Newton has.
Well, now you've got a quarterback fight in training camp. So I'm not ready to pull the plug on Trubisky. I don't think he's done.
No, I don't think. I think Bears fans want him gone right now. They want him gone. They want him to be eradicated from the face of the earth because you can just tell that by the way that Bears fans are. They are just sick of Trubisky already. They want him gone. They want him literally gone. And they literally want anything else. They just want Trubisky off. They wish that Foles was chained to the Bears and the Jaguars would have gotten Trubisky as well, and the Jaguars would have gotten Trubisky. They just wanted him gone. That's all they want. They just want him gone. The reason why I like this for the Bears is because, yeah, you're having his contract, but the way that it's structured, the Bears can easily cut him after the season. And you're going into a situation where you have Matt Nagy, who is from the Andy Reid coaching tree, which also had Doug Peterson, where he won the Super Bowl as the game's MVP. So I don't mind. I think, yeah, he's probably going to be the starter potentially, but what this does is that it gives him some mentorship, gives him some leadership, gives a little bit of pressure on him because Foles is a very, very respected guy in the locker room. He's a very respected guy, and that needs to be accounted for in this as well.
Well, I've got another Bears question here for you. So Jimmy Graham signs.
Yeah, they were mad about that too.
Okay, why?
They were mad because he hasn't been good since 2012, even though that's not true. I don't know. I think they're just mad at the Bears because the last 20 years, with the way that Soldier Field has been like, with the way that several other issues with the ownership, they hate ownership, they hate the team. They're just mad. They're just very, very angry individuals.
Well, what do you think Jimmy Graham's got to do now? What does he have left to do for him to be a serious Hall of Fame contender?
Well, as we want to talk about Travis Kelce, statistically, this entire decade, Jimmy Graham has actually been the second best tight end of the 2010s.
Sure, but I mean, he's had like only, which is weird to say only two, because as a tight end, that's still phenomenal. 2 1,000-yard years. He's at 78. I'm just reading here. 7,883 receiving yards. Damn good numbers for a tight end. But how much more does he have left in the tank? He can't block worth shit.
Uh-huh. I'm saying that compared to him to Kelce, he actually has a lot. He has a lot more touchdowns than Kelce. He's more of a touchdown guy than Kelce, where Kelce's more of a yardage kind of guy. And that's why I'm comparing the two. That's why I think Graham is more likely for. That's why I think Graham's more likely for all decade than Kelce, but it wouldn't be shocked for both. But as for Graham, I mean, he's 33. He's been banged up a little bit. He has not been a Pro Bowler the last 2 seasons with the Packers,
and he won't be again.
No, he's not going to be again. But hey, he also honestly kind of underachieved with the Packers. He only got 5 touchdowns in the 2 seasons he was there. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, when he was with the Seahawks, those 3 seasons, 2017 had a great year. He had 10 touchdowns, but also in 2016 he had almost 1,000 yards receiving in 1 season. But I don't know. Like, he's already going in as the best tight end on that team. But at the same time, what does it say about you when your best tight end is 33 years old and has not been the same player the last couple of years?
It doesn't. He needs a bounce back year. In my opinion, if he's really going to he needs that to be for a Hall of Fame push. He's in compiler stage right now. And sometimes when people are looking at the overall stats, that's what he's going to need. A 6th Pro Bowl, I think you and I can agree, is very, very unlikely. Can he stick around long enough to get to that 10,000-yard mark? I'd say no.
No, I don't think so either.
But you're right. You made that great point about the TDs. 74 touchdowns, that's a lot. That's an awful lot. If he can sort of like add a few, if he can just sort of like put up Jason Witten numbers right now, which another weird thing seeing him as a Raider.
That's so. I mean, you have Mike Mayock, John Gruden, and Jason Witten on the Raiders.
But that to me is, I'm surprised that's not getting more attention, frankly.
I'm shocked too. I think because people just think, Witten's was never actually good, even though Jason Witten was actually really, really, really good when he was playing.
Oh, he was fantastic.
11-time Pro Bowl, 4th-time All-Pro. The guy has second most amount of receptions ever by a tight end. That's pretty elite right there. Obviously, he's going to a situation where Darren Waller they gave a long-term contract to, so he's going to be there more so for his leadership than his play on the field, and that is completely okay because Witten is going in there as basically as a pseudo-player coach.
I want to ask you. Sorry, go ahead.
But when you talk about Graham, I mean, when he does make it, you're going to have to deal with Rob Gronkowski. You're going to have to deal with Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Gates, and also Jason Witten when he retires. And not only that, right now you have two tight ends, Ben Coates and Keith Jackson, who had three or more All-Pros and had really dominant seasons. I'm shocked those guys are not semifinalists yet. And those guys aren't semifinalists yet.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Unless they, do what I want them to do, and it's kind of like don't open it up a little bit more.
I want to ask you this as a future broadcaster, someone who, every time you watch a college football game, we're going to be seeing these guys on Sundays. Here's what I'm going to say about Vinny: you're going to hear him on Sundays. So don't let me down. So as a future broadcaster, you think here, Jason Witten, why does he want to sort of keep going and not maybe go back to the booth? He wasn't terrible.
Because he hated it there, honestly. He didn't like wearing the hairpiece. He didn't like wearing the hairpiece. And he just didn't really care for it there. He didn't like how he was being ripped apart a lot. And, yeah, he just wants to keep playing. And, honestly, I would not be shocked if he continues playing for another year after 2020. I can honestly see him playing until his 2021 season at least.
There's another thing you wanted to talk about, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Campbell?
Calais Campbell.
Yeah, Calais Campbell. This is a guy that's very high on my board for future Hall of Famers. He has a de facto 6 Pro Bowls, which means that one of his Pro Bowls, he was an All-Pro, but wasn't actually a Pro Bowl. Therefore, de facto 6 Pro Bowls, 3-time All-Pro, and he was the best player on that Jacksonville Jaguars defense. He was the leader of that defense. And now he got traded to the Baltimore Ravens. So that tells you right there, Jacksonville is dead, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone from that 2017 team, where they made the AFC Championship game after missing the playoffs the last 10 seasons, are gone. All you have left is Yannick Ngakoue, and he's probably going to get traded to the Philadelphia Eagles.
He's hoping.
Yeah, it looks
he
like
wants out pretty bad.
Case. I think it's going to happen. And, man, Jalen Ramsey, the Jaguars got 2 first-rounders out of him, so they'd be happy for that. And, hell, if Ngakoue does get traded for a first-rounder, man, you're going to have the Jaguars and the Dolphins with 3 first-round picks and the Raiders with 2 first-round picks and the Vikings with 2 first-round picks. I would not be shocked if one of those teams like the Jaguars or the Dolphins trade up a little bit and get some higher quality players in this draft. I can really see it. I'm betting on it.
And I think and we got one more that I know you wanted to talk about. You want to talk about Andrew Whitworth.
Yes, I do want to talk about Andrew Whitworth. Andrew Whitworth, will he make the Hall of Fame? I'm not too sure. Maybe Jason Peters is currently a free agent. He'll definitely make the Hall of Fame. But currently he's not signed yet, so I can't really talk about him. But Andrew Whitworth, in his age 38, he's age 38, and he's going to be playing in, let's see what year he's going into. Andrew Whitworth will be going into his, he started in 2006 and he was going to 2020. So he got a 3-year deal, but in terms of guarantees, it's a 1-year contract. So I don't think Whitworth will get another Pro Bowl or an All-Pro. However, a couple seasons ago in 2017, he made it as an All-Pro and as a Pro Bowler. And honestly, he's been an alternate numerous times. So if things might have gone in his favor, if a little bit more guys backed out as they did now, the guy could have had at least 7 Pro Bowls by now. I really do. Because that's why I always keep in caution with the alternates, because Ben Roethlisberger would have made it as an alternate, but he declined. Matt Ryan was a first alternate, but he also declined. So are you really going to hold that against Ben Roethlisberger or Matt Ryan because they declined to go to an exhibition game in place of someone else?
No,
are you really going to do that?
Well, frankly, if I'm any NFL player and I'm selected to the Pro Bowl, I should try and figure out any way not to play.
Oh yeah, and same thing with London Fletcher. I mean, London Fletcher was an alternate numerous times. I think he was an alternate like 5 times or something like that, like where he was close to it. And he didn't make his first Pro Bowl, like official Pro Bowl, until 2009. I mean, if he made those Pro Bowls, he probably would have had like 7 or 8 Pro Bowls in total. I mean, should people really hold that against London Fletcher because some guy that was already selected decided not to go to it?
Not at all.
London Fletcher, he never missed a game in his career, and he has, oh my God, like tackle on tackle on tackle on tackle on tackle. Something like that as well. Like, I would not hold that against Whitworth. In fact, I would benefit him because he still played Pro Bowl caliber seasons without the official Pro Bowl nod. So I'm not going to hold that against him.
No.
I know the others would, but whoever is going to really hold it needs to get their brain checked.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Whitworth also. So I think we pretty much hit the big ones. Obviously, there's a lot of other deals that sort of transpired, but these are the ones that I think are sort of Hall of Fame related, and even the ones that aren't. Like Diggs right now, he's not exactly in that conversation, but he certainly could be. Any other big thing that you want to sort of like touch before we call it a show?
Actually, I have one. Gerald McCoy. He signed a 3-year deal, $18.3 million. This is the guy with several Pro Bowls and several All-Pros. I think, if he has another Pro Bowl season or two, I think he'll definitely be in the conversation. And as for another guy,
Well, Darius Slade that happened today.
Well, Darius Slade, right now he only has 3 Pro Bowls and 1 All-Pro. Right now, I don't put him in that level just yet. I think he needs to have several more Pro Bowl.
But what do you think of that deal, though?
I like it for the Eagles. They wanted Chris Harris Jr., who some are saying he's actually gotten a little bit of steam for potential Hall of Fame. I'm not too sure yet for Chris Harris Jr. Hell, he even said that I maybe need 1 or 2 more All-Pros and 15 interceptions to make the Hall of Fame, even though there's no set criteria. But,
got that right.
Statistical dominance, like PFF grades, in terms of his dominance and contribution to the team, there is some demand for Chris Harris Jr., so I would not be against it. However, I think when it comes to, I could see him potentially as an All-Pro, but the most I could see him as an All-Decade would be second team.
Mm-hmm. And you're the special teams guru also. Vinatieri, is he coming back?
I have no idea. I have no idea if Adam Vinatieri is coming back. I'm so happy that Matthew Slater's re-signed. Yes.
Thought you might be.
I don't know if Steven Gostkowski's saying. I think he probably will. So yeah, I'm very, very happy the Patriots are keeping a few future Hall of Famers around. Even if they don't play a sexy position like quarterback, the kicker gets a lot more pressure than most, and they get treated very, very poorly by others. And the special teamer, Matthew Slater, oh my God. You're talking about a guy that might be a coordinator or a head coach someday. That's how much of a leader he is for that entire team. And Devin McCourty, too. Hey, some are even saying he might even have a chance. I don't know, because you've seen some, PFF's very high on him. Very physically, he's very dominant. In terms of leadership, he's very dominant. And I do think with a lot of these Patriots players, you're going to see a lot of demand, because next year, because this year, you're going to get Logan Mankins up for his first year of eligibility. Logan Mankins, I have a lot of love for Logan Mankins. The guy was a six-time All-Pro and a 7-time Pro Bowler. I'm very high on Logan Mankins. And, hey, these Patriots teams, it's not biased or anything, but when you're dominant for 20 years, do you really think it's just 7 guys? I think there needs to be more. There
Absolutely.
has to be more. You need more than just Brady, Belichick, Kraft, Law, Seymour, Vinatieri, and Gronkowski. You need to have Harrison. You need Wilfork. You need Welker. You need these players, these real dominant players. And yeah, I'm happy for Slater. I hope he makes his 9th and even hopefully 10th Pro Bowl, because the dude deserves it so badly.
Well, we might be doing this again depending on what happens in the next week or so. thanks to the NFL for at least giving sports fans something to pay attention to.
Oh, yeah. I've done nothing except for watching free agency and just seeing the death total in places like Italy, China, America continue to climb. And I don't have school for the rest of the semester.
No, I guess not.
That means it's online classes until further notice. Yay me. I need refunds for my dorm and everything, and my who knows.
Oh, I guess I guess you're kicked out of the dorm too, huh?
Yeah, we're leaving our dorms. We better get reimbursed. I better get reimbursed for that.
Oh my God. All these little things that, like I wouldn't think about, but life as we know it is so different. I don't even know. Actually, here's what I'm gonna start doing for my sports fix. I found like a YouTube channel where they just sort of like compiled all these games from like 1981, the full NFL games, and I think that's what I'm going to start watching as my background as I'm writing material for the site.
Also, by the way, I got to say thank you so much for adding William Hasselfinger and Charles Follis in the player list. Even though I would have had those two a little bit higher, I'm still happy they're on there. I'm happy they're high, and I definitely think as I shower you more with Pudge and with Pudge and the Black Cyclones, because those were their nicknames, they might get a higher. And hey, if my sports journalism professor, he's been in the industry for 50 years, and he's never even heard of Charles Follis until I made that paper.
Well, Pudge and the Black Cyclone are far better nicknames than I read about the two new Marvel characters, Snowflake and Safe Space.
I'm still shocked that's even real characters. I love Marvel to death. But did April Fool's come early this year? I mean, you're joking me, right? Like, why are you calling them that? You're just going to get mockery, beyond mockery. If anything, why are you naming characters after massive stereotypes? Like, that doesn't seem right. I mean, you don't see. Let's say in the '60s, they decide to make. Let's say they decide to make an Italian character WAP, or if they decide to make or they decide to make an Asian character Squinty, stuff like that.
Well,
why would you give them?
In the '70s, they kind of did. So when I was a kid, one of the cartoons I'd watch, that's when cartoons were on Saturday mornings, kids. Back then.
I know my Hanna-Barbera.
Okay, well, so one of them was the Super Friends. And
I know about the Super.
Okay, so like they'd had their core thing, and then I remember as a kid thinking, well, okay, they're not in water. I know Aquaman won't be used this episode. And
Black Vulcan, Apache Chief.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm going. So they created these characters that were, granted, this is the DC universe. So yeah, you have Apache Chief, who just spoke in our native land. Then we sprinkled just such a horrible stereotype. Him, El Samurai, or not El Samurai, it was Samurai, and I think there was El Dorado, who just always he was the Mexican one. Mexican superhero, he could just disappear. So I guess presumably so he could steal hubcaps. I don't know. It was awful, and I don't
even know why DC had so many characters. I mean, you have why did you have these other characters? Because they didn't have enough characters. I mean, why are you having?
Well, they were trying to be international and woke and that was all fine and good, but then they went through a complete they went all stereotype. And if you put together a good character, regardless of their sexual orientation, age, gender, race, you're going to have a winner. That's all you got to do. Why did everybody go see Black Panther? Because it was fucking awesome.
I mean, I remember actually people were getting mad that Birds of Prey didn't do as well as Sonic the Hedgehog. And
I know. Yeah, I saw that because they altered the character. If the characters stink, it's not going to work. Men will go see kick-ass women characters. If it's all done well. Why did Wonder Woman kick butt? because that was like the DC reboot. I'm surprised we're going down this route. Hasn't been very good, but the Wonder Woman film, in my opinion, was the best of the lot. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, with DC, I mean, with me, I gotta say, release the Snyder Cut. But I think when it comes to DC fans, they're a lot more. They seem a lot more agitated than Marvel fans. Like, again, when I mentioned Birds of Prey, they were upset because, Birds of Prey, Woman movie, and Sonic. I mean, the design, I know that people talk about the design. The design was most likely going to change it anyway, and it ended up working out better for them because it's like it was like the only movie that's been a blockbuster this whole year. I mean, for all we know, I wouldn't be shocked if, imagine if, like, they get nominated for, like, best picture because there's no other movies out. Everything came from an actor.
Oh, I never even thought of that. Yeah, that could affect all the Oscars too. I can't get into the Oscars. My wife makes me watch it, and then she always falls asleep. And then every time I turn the channel, she wakes up.
When it comes to the Oscars, it's like everyone gets mad when their movie didn't do it, and like, I mean, when it comes down to it, I mean, and even then, all I gotta say is, hey, the ratings are going down and down and down and down. It's actually not really because of streaming. Just people are not really interested as much as they used to be. Period.
No, they're not. And although I do have to see Parasite, haven't seen it. I'm damn curious. Great. Is it good?
Great movie. Great movie. You just got to read subtitles.
That's fine. It doesn't bother me at all. I was on
some people.
Back when I was your age, I was on a foreign movie kick, which I was. So I was watching as much foreign films as I could get my hands on for whatever reason. So no, that one I wouldn't mind. Although the ironic thing here in the Buchner household, my wife just loves Korean drama, so she watches all sorts of that. And then when I said, okay, well, let's go watch Parasite, she didn't want to see it because it's not a love story.
Well, yeah, not everything could be not everything is a love story. I mean,
well, I know, but she works her butt off every day, so she wants her entertainment to be mindless. So I certainly can respect that. But yeah, that's not kind of how I thought we'd end the show, but here we are. We'll do this again should there be more blockbusters, and there very well could be. And maybe we do a draft reaction show.
Yeah, that'd be pretty interesting. I want to see Black Widow. I want to see. I don't know what else I want to see. Really, Black Widow's really been on my mind. New Mutants, they just dumped that thing on streaming already. That's been postponed for, like, 5 times now?
Which movie?
New Mutants.
Oh, New Mutants.
New Mutants.
Yeah. I have no interest in that.
I don't have any interest in that either because the issue with the Fox X-Men films is that the continuity is all over the place. The fans didn't really care. And let's be real, I mean, really? No. It's going to bomb me. Just dump it on streaming, just call it a day. That's all I say, Disney. Not listen to me. You're not, whatever. You're still going to make money either way, even though Onward bombed. Yeah, I know my movies. So what?
That's it. It's all good. It's all good. All right. Thanks so much, Vinny, and we'll do this again soon.
Thank you, too. And before I go, I got to say, Bears fans, chill out, please.
Okay, good luck.
Thanks. See you.
Certainly. We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Buck Stops Here, and we implore everyone out there, stay safe, and we'll bring you some more content here from NotInHallOfFame.com. Thanks so much.